Hello and welcome back. I'm Holly and you're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney. This is the Buzzing Trends. Let's get started with today's important news that could impact the markets. The S&P ASX 200 started higher today, crossing above its 50-day moving average, whereas it's presently trading lower at 7,001.30, down by 18.30 points at 12:18 p.m. The index opened higher today because many reasons, such as extending gains from the previous session following upbeat domestic employment data and tracking a rebound on Wall Street buoyed by gains in technology stocks. Wall Street closing higher today after breaking the 3-day losing session. 7 of 11 sectors are higher along with the S&P ASX 200 index. Information technology is the best performing sector, getting 1.99% at 12:18 p.m. Now let's glance over to the crypto space. Cryptocurrencies bounced back sharply from their recent drop, but were well off the day's highs during the late trading hours. The recovery in crypto space came after crypto backers such as ARK Invest's Cathie Wood indicated their support on Wednesday. Bitcoin was most recently up by 9.15% at $40,090 after plummeting a staggering 54% below its all-time high hit just over a month ago, after some of its prominent backers reiterated their support. Concerns over tighter regulation in China around cryptocurrencies and unease over the extent of highly leveraged positions in the cryptocurrency space had caused this week's sharp sell-off. And now moving on to some important major global stories. WeWork, an American commercial real estate company that provides a flexible co-working space for startups along with other services, reported a loss of $2.1 billion in their first quarter of 2021. As per the company, loss is mainly attributed to consistent lockdowns and remote working or work from home. WeWork's quarterly revenue fell by almost 50%, while it has lost more than 200,000 customers, as per the document seen by the Financial Times. WeWork is trying to cope by cutting costs since the time the new CEO took charge of office in February of 2020. And next in the news, the overhaul of tax regimes in the US, as pointed out by Joe Biden government in April this year, proposes applying a new tax based on sales in each country to the global profits of very large companies. The government has updated that it will accept 15% global minimum tax on large multinational companies. This will help in increasing revenues from companies that are operating across borders. The domestic corporate tax was proposed to be increased from 21% to 28%. As per Biden, the new tax rate will provide a more stable international tax system. And now moving on, the Swedish food company Oatly Group made its US stock market debut on Thursday. Oatly Group jumped more than 22% in the afternoon session on NASDAQ. The company had raised $1.4 billion at an offering price of $17 per share for $84.4 million worth of stocks on Wednesday. On the global front, Japan, Eurozone, UK, and the US are scheduled to release their May PMI data today. The other major global releases include Japan's April CPI, Eurozone's May consumer confidence, UK's April retail sales, and May's consumer sentiment, and US's April existing home sales data. On the other hand, manufacturing PMI data of Australia is also scheduled to be released today. Now, let's move on over to some ASX listed company news. First up, AirTasker is an Australian-based listed company which helps connecting people who need an outsource of everyday tasks. The company, which recently got listed on the ASX in March this year, is planning to return to investors for further capital raising transactions. AirTasker plans to raise 21 million Australian dollars, through a stockbroker named Morgans. The funding will be used for completing an acquisition in the United States and to help in global expansion. Next up is Kogan, a prepaid mobile phone service provider in Australia, has lowered its profit forecast for the 2021 financial year. Piles of excess stock, supply chain issues, higher shipping costs, price inflation, and so on has forced the company to take such a decision. The company announced that EBITDA is now likely to fall between 58 million to 63 million Australian, lower by around $12 million to $9 million from consensus forecasts. Though many retailers are facing these issues, Kogan is suffering the most due to its aggressive expansion strategy. And now moving on, APN Convenience Retail, REIT, has acquired a portfolio of 6 properties in South Australia. On the Run, the flagship convenience store brand of ExxonMobil. The acquisition will be funded by debt, while the adjustment of properties is expected to complete before June's end. And next up, Red 5, an Australian gold producer, has lowered its production guidance for the Darlot gold mine due to labour shortages. Guidance has been lowered 74,000 to 78,000 ounces. Mining activities are unable to ramp up due to the shortage of machine operators and truck drivers. And now let's take a look at this latest update from the eco space. Australian retail turnover rose 1.1% in April 2021, seasonally adjusted according to preliminary retail trade figures released today by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Turnover rose 25.1% when compared to April of 2020. The sharp rise in annual turnover is due to the very low levels of retail turnover recorded in April of 2020. Nationwide coronavirus restrictions in April saw physical stores closed for all but essential retail, and restrictions placed on people leaving their homes. Ben James, director of quarterly economy-wide surveys, said food retailing led the rises in April, following falls in both February and March of 2021. All industries except department stores rose, with similar rises for cafes, restaurants, and takeaway food services, as well as household goods retailing and other retailing. And now moving on, in yet another sign of deteriorating relationships with China. Australia is viewing delays in table grape exports, as about 20% of the fruit shipped to the mainland is still stuck at the borders. China has been Australia's largest customer of table grape. The majority of custom delay is happening across the southern China ports. The Australian government does not want to come to any conclusions. It is trying to figure out the reasons or issues associated with the delay. Well, that is all for now. Keep watching Kalkine TV as we bring you the latest in trending market updates, live from Sydney. This is Holly Shields signing off.